Do the work, step by step, and fate will do the rest.
Cinderella wins a national championship.
Stony Brook, you have shocked the world. The Kent State Golden Flashes are headed to Omaha.
Indiana has its first trip to the College World Series.
Fairy tales unfold, pitch by pitch, on the road to Omaha.
Welcome to the NCAA Baseball Regionals presented by Capital One. A beautiful day in Gainesville, Florida. The number 1 seed Florida Gators getting ready to take on the number 4 seed Florida A&M here from McKethan Stadium. It is an all-Florida regional, the first of its kind in a couple of years, where all 4 teams hail from the same state. Earlier today, South Florida defeating FAU 5-3. That means they're in the winner's bracket. They'll take on the winner of tonight's ball game. And with that, we say hello and welcome. Mike Morgan alongside 3-time World Series coach Dave Perno. Great to be with you here tonight. The weather starting to cool down. The action not going to do so. It's going to heat up. This Florida team is loaded. This FAMU team, a really pleasant surprise. They've got some talent. That makes this game and really this whole regional very interesting.
Well, it does, and they have nothing to lose. They're riding in high. They got a great opportunity. They play a tremendous Florida team that's very hot, so it should be a good matchup. We're looking forward to seeing it.
It's their first regional in the program's history, and they're led by Marlon Gibbs.
Well, Marlon Gibbs. If Florida A&M is going to pull this off, Marlon Gibbs has got to go. He leads them in hits, runs, and stolen bases. He's got to have a big game tonight if this is going to happen for him.
Meanwhile, familiar territory for Florida. They're in the NCAA tournament almost every year. They've been a national seed 6 out of the last 7, but they've got to play better in this regional than they have the last couple. Josh Tobias leads the way.
Well, he does, and he's leading all Florida hitters by 50-something points. And the year he's put together, not only offensively, but defensively, only 1 error at the hot corner. I mean, just that's what you want from your senior. He's waited for it his last year to have his best year, and it's been huge for this Florida club.
He's really the only senior that plays significant innings for this Gator team, which is good and very young. Gators, Rattlers coming up from Gainesville in just a moment.
The NCAA Baseball Regionals is presented by the Capital One Venture Card. Earn unlimited double miles you can use on any airline, anytime.
The Rattlers and the Gators about to do battle here in the nightcap. Jamie Shoup, the head coach of Florida A&M, he has done an outstanding job just his 2nd year. When he took over the post at FAMU, they had back-to-back 7-win seasons, lost nearly 50 games a year. Now they have back-to-back 500 seasons and their first trip to the NCAA tournament. They're led by Jared Walker, A.J. Elkins, and Marlon Gibbs at the top of the lineup, followed by Kennedy Davis, Birdsong. Jeremy Barlow is the catcher. Alec Wong is an interesting story. He will not stay in the game. He just tore up his knee in the MEAC Conference Tournament on a dirty slide at second base, but they wanted to start him to honor the terrific season he has had. He'll be lifted the moment that he's due up in the order. Peter Jackson will round out the starting 9 for the Rattlers. And they'll be going up against one of the top pitchers around, Logan Shore. We wondered what the strategy would be, Dave Perno. Would Coach O'Sullivan save his aces for later on? Nope, he's going to throw one of them right now.
Well, and I think it's the right move. When you're as deep as their pitching is, and you remember, you got a short memory, but you do remember what happened last year. And not that they pitched off, but you just want to be sure. And Logan Shore is the guy tonight. And he's got great stuff, good fastball. If the fastball command on both sides of the plate needs to get a little mileage out of his changeup, and then he just needs to be who he is. He's been great for 2 years, and just keep doing the things he does and let this defense play behind you and let that offense score some runs for you.
You've already brought your postseason form. A pun before we even get into the first pitch.
You like that.
Oh, I caught it. Trust me. Logan Shore coming in 7-6, a 2.79 earned run average. He started the regional opener a year ago against the College of Charleston, gave up 4 runs in the first inning. They lost that game of the Cougars. Then they later lost to North Carolina. They went 0-2 in their home field, their home stadium in the regional as a national seed. They have vowed not to let that happen again. Bader, Reed, and Vasquez, the Florida outfield. A very talented Florida defense. Talented might be the understatement of the year. They're #1 in the nation in fielding percentage. They have a chance to set the all-time record in college baseball for the best fielding percentage in a season. They're at .985 right now. Crank to left. Bader coming on, and Bader will make the catch looking into that Florida sun for out #1.
Yeah, this defensive team for Florida is probably as good as you've seen in a while. I mean, not only are they really sure-handed and make the plays, they cover ground.
Right.
They can go get balls in the outfield. They have range on the infield. And when Tobias, your third baseman, only makes 1 error.
That's a ridiculous number.
Yeah, that's crazy stuff right there.
I had Florida a couple weeks ago, came to this ballpark, and Tobias had 0 playing the hot corner, and I kept saying that has to be a typo. It's not. He has just 1 all season. That came in the final series of the regular season. They've got great pitching. They've got great defense. They've got hitting. They've got hitting with power. Simply put, this Florida team does not have a weakness. And sure-handed on a sliding catch.
Well, you're not really coached to dive for balls, bunt plays on close to the line, because you worry about dropping them and in fair territory and them rolling out. But this is an athletic play. Your instincts take over. I would obviously, with nobody on, it's a little better play diving for the ball, especially if you're pitcher. The other reason is you don't want to risk injury.
Now the top hitter on the Rattlers roster, Marlon Gibbs, leads the team in hits, runs, stolen bases. Bouncer to second. Backhand by Guthrie. And a 1-2-3 inning for Logan Shore.
Well, they showed you their defense right out the gate. Bader gets a good jump. Logan Shore makes a heck of a play, and Dalton Guthrie makes a backhand look easy.
Bottom of the first about to get underway. Kevin O'Sullivan in his 8th year with the Florida Gators. 8 seasons, 8 NCAA tournaments, 3 College World Series. A marvelous run, a marvelous starting 9 for the Gators, devoid of a hole in the lineup. Bader, Reed, and Martin start things off. The senior Tobias cleaning up, followed up by Alonso and J.J. Schwartz, the top freshman in the Southeastern Conference. He's part of 4 consecutive freshmen in the lineup. Schwartz, Vasquez, Rivera, Guthrie, all true freshmen in the starting lineup for Kevin O'Sullivan's Gators. And they'll be going up against a lefty, Ricky Page, 2-0 on the season, a 1.32 earned run average, and coach, a power curve.
Well, he's got a big breaking ball, but he also has his fastball cuts, and hopefully he can get that in these Florida's hitters underneath their barrel or inside their barrel and at their hands and set up that big breaking ball. And listen, it's not a situation where they're counting on a lot of length from them. They just need some quality innings. Keep them in the game.
Now, Coach Shoup telling us he's actually very confident in his bullpen. He feels like he can really mix and match late in this game if they can keep it close early. Bader cuts and misses quickly down in the count, 0-2. Harrison Bader, a junior by way of Bronxville, New York, second on the team with 13 home runs. Bender, strike 3 called. A knee buckling curveball from Ricky Page.
Boy, he had a good sequence there. He showed him his little fastball that cut inside on him, and it opened the back door for the big breaking ball.
You just saw the big curveball. When you say make it cut, tell me what you mean by make it cut.
Well, it's a natural cut fastball. It's a fastball, but it's just natural. He cuts it. And so everything for that on that pitch on his fastball gets away from arm side, and he likes to keep that big breaking ball on arm side. So the fastball away from arm side, the big breaking ball keeps it on arm side. And what happens is what you just saw. Harrison Bader gives up on this pitch. It looks like it's out, and then at the last second it catches the corner.
Right through the back door. Buddy Reed, the sophomore, takes downstairs. 2 balls, no strikes to the starting center fielder for the Gators. A tremendous athlete. who actually dreamed of becoming a pro hockey player. He loves hockey, soccer, skating, likes to act, likes to dance. Your ultimate utility player. This Gator team fresh off an SEC tournament championship. They lost the first game in Hoover and then rattled off 4 straight, including a championship game victory over the Vanderbilt Commodores by a score of 7-3 as Reed will meander to first. Base on balls from Ricky Page.
Well, you got to make Florida earn it. I mean, you just can't give them free bases. You're going to make it tough on you.
Now Richie Martin, the starting shortstop. Florida A&M solid defensively. That's been the biggest area of improvement under Jamie Shoup. Their defense was wretched a few years ago, and their pitching was not great. When you have bad pitching and bad defense, that's how you win 7 games in back-to-back seasons. Now this kid, you've probably heard the names of Bregman and Swanson, 2 stud shortstops in the SEC. Because of that, Richie Martin has been overshadowed a bit, but this guy is a tremendous baseball player.
No, there's a lot of, I mean, this year it just happened to be shortstops, the hot spot. You had Simcox, Mikey White, Bregman, Dansby Swanson, Richie Martin. I mean, there's just, and you know, you don't know which one. It looks, you think you can pick who's going to play in the big leagues, but all these guys are really good players, and they're going to play a lot. They're going to play a while, and you just never. Richie Martin's athletic enough to jump to center field. He could jump to other positions. So I like this guy. Richie Martin does a lot of good things.
Martin hitting third. Tobias, the cleanup hitter, waiting on deck. 1 on, 1 out as the pitch sails outside. Last season, Martin really struggled in the field. This year, he shored it up from 930 to 971. Swing and a miss. There's that nasty curveball.
That breaking ball just doesn't stop. I mean, it just keeps biting. I mean, he wraps that one. He gets that one. When you get that ball, when you throw that good breaking ball and you're able to get it away from your arm side, that ball's going to have a lot of break on it, a lot of late life on it, and it's going to be tough for these Gator hitters to handle.
1 on, 2 outs for Josh Tobias, the senior, the lone senior in the lineup. Been around since 2012. He hit .373 this season. That was the 3rd best mark in the Southeastern Conference. Both his mother and father attended the University of Florida. Cues that one foul.
Well, the Rattlers have had some success against the Gators. They had a midweek win last year.
Yeah.
4-3 late in the season.
Runner goes. Pitch is topped foul. Yeah, that opened up a lot of eyes, even though it was just a midweek game and you say, well, baseball upsets can happen. Upsets like that have not happened in a while. FAMU defeating Florida.
And it gave him some confidence. They're coming in this season. They created some momentum last year. And Coach Shoup, I mean, obviously we know his history. Florida State forever and in a lot of big games. Knows what it takes to win at a high level.
Jamie Shoup, 21 years, the pitching coach for the Florida State Seminoles and Coach Mike Martin. Again, the runner goes. It doesn't matter. That power curveball baffling 3 Gator batters. Ricky Page strikes out the side.
And they're not easy to strike out. And he made the top of the order look silly.
Nice contingent of fans for the Florida A&M Rattlers, located in Tallahassee, Florida, the number 4 seed, trying to pull off an upset here on the opening round, game number 2 of day number 1 here in Gainesville, Florida. This kind of puts it in perspective where these two programs are and where they have been. This is the 31st regional for Florida, the first for the Rattlers. 109 regional games for the Gators, 1 for the Rattlers. Regional wins, 0 for FAMU, 66 of them for Florida, not to mention 8 trips to Omaha. So this is a true David versus Goliath battle. But the thing we love about college baseball this time of year, we've seen a lot of David triumphing over Goliath. Some number 4 seeds making it to Omaha, a lot of upsets, and some SEC schools have been on the wrong side of the stick on those upsets.
Yeah, they have. And unfortunately, I was part of one of them.
Kennedy grounds one foul, their top power hitter in the 4-hole.
Well, it's a situation where the parity is here. I mean, it's here to stay, and mid-majors and smaller schools have opportunity to win when you limited the roster sizes for these bigger schools.
Fastball away.
And the biggest thing for a team like Florida A&M is just get off to a good start. Show, you know, and Ricky Page allowed them to do that, and then they'll try and put something together against Logan Shore, although he looks pretty sharp tonight.
Inside for a ball, Logan Shore, a 6'2" sophomore out of Coon Rapids, Minnesota. First time I've been able to rattle off that hometown calling a game. He was the 2014 SEC Freshman of the Year. Dribbler up the middle. Shortstop Martin is there. 4 up, 4 down for Logan Shore.
And it's just a good steady mix, fastball on both sides, mix in a little change up here and there, and let your defense play.
Logan Shore will go up against Brian Davis. Want to remind everybody out there looking for the LSU ball game. They are on the SEC alternate channel right now, as well as ESPN 3. LSU and Lehigh from the box in Baton Rouge. Swing and a miss, 0-2 now the count on the lefty Brian Davis. I mentioned Richie Martin earlier, and Buddy Reed, 2 great athletes. Buddy Reed, young man who wanted to be a professional hockey player. 1-2 off the plate. Well, Logan Shore actually did play hockey in high school. Of course, when you're from Minnesota,
you better.
mean, when you're in the crib, they put a hockey stick in your hand, right? 2-2 from the right-hander. Swing and a miss. Or did he get a piece?
They say he got a piece.
Wow.
And then we talked about that in the scouting report. A lot of change-ups from Logan Shore. It's his second best pitch, and he definitely, when his outings are good, he gets a lot of mileage out of his change-up.
Rockets this one to left. Bader is there and puts it away for the second out of the inning. McKeithen Stadium in Gainesville, Florida. Mike Morgan alongside former Georgia Bulldog player and coach Dave Perno. It's game 2 of this Gainesville regional. The South Florida Bulls defeated the Owls of FAU in game 1. So the winner of this game will play USF tomorrow at 6 o'clock Eastern time. Little pop up. It's the second baseman Guthrie makes the grab. 6 up, 6 down for Logan Shore. We're scoreless, bottom of the second, coming your way.
See you back.
It's a scoreless game. Home half of the second about to unfold. Alonzo, Schwartz, and Vasquez, 5, 6, and 7 due up in the Gator attack. Historic season for the Rattlers. First MEAC title since 1994. 15 conference wins. That's a new program record. Best ERA in school history, and they led the MEAC in fielding percentage. that is no doubt the work of one Jamie Shoup, who we talked about earlier, now in his second year with the program. 21 years the pitching coach at Florida State. Then he was out of baseball and completely for a year, just kind of followed his son. His youngest son is about to go play for FAU, one of the teams in this regional. Coached high school baseball for a year and then got the call. Hey, coach, you want to take over FAMU? They were coming off back-to-back 7-win seasons, and he's done a great job in a short amount of time as Alonso laces a single to left, the first hit of the game.
Now, you don't want to see that. You don't want to deal with the big breaking ball. Then hit the cut fastball coming right to you. Peter Alonso, good swing, works down behind that ball, takes his base hit.
Peter Alonso, who attended Plant High School in Tampa, the same as former Gator great Preston Tucker, now playing for the Houston Astros. Now this year's SEC Freshman of the Year, J.J. Schwartz. 14 homers, and he led the league in runs batted in. When you think of the talent in the SEC, to lead the conference in RBIs as a freshman, that is an amazing feat.
Yeah, well, it's in the family. They got athletes everywhere. Sisters out in the College World Series softball.
Ground ball through the hole, and no play for Elkins. Did a nice job just to keep it on the infield, but an infield single for Schwartz.
Well, he hangs in there. Gets it on the ground just enough in the 6 hole, because if that ball's either a little bit left or a little bit right, that might be a big double play for FAMU.
Florida in the middle of that freshman quartet. That was Schwartz. This is Vasquez. Rivera and Guthrie to follow, 4 consecutive freshmen. First pitch outside.
Vasquez has come on late, has come off the bench a little bit, and has given Coach O'Sullivan some huge at-bats, and has fought his way in this lineup.
Line shot up the middle, base hit. The Gators will have them loaded with nobody out. Well, sometimes it takes a second or third time through the lineup to adjust to a pitcher. I think after they saw Ricky Page's power curveball in the first, word got out quickly what to do with that pitch.
Well, that, and they didn't wait around. They didn't let him get ahead of him in the count. They jumped on the first fastball they could see, and they've done a good job putting that in play.
No, a quick visit to the mound.
But if you're Coach Shoup and Ricky Page, hey, you're making them earn it. I mean, you're not giving it to them free. You're not making errors. You know, they've done a good job. I mean, Florida can do that. They put some good swings on it, took their single, but you still, you know, you can still manage this inning.
The most difficult thing I think about facing this Florida lineup is that there's just no let up. There's a lot of teams out there that 1 through 5 are just dynamite, and then there's a little bit of a let up. Here we are. This is the 8-hole hitter in Rivera, and he's terrific.
I think the LSU and Florida have those type of lineups.
Yeah.
There's just balance all the way through.
Rivera to right, and a diving catch by Jackson. This will likely score a run. It will, as Alonso tags up, and the Gators strike first, 1-0.
Well, a good piece of hitting by Rivera. Doesn't wait around, wants to get that runner in from third. Quicken that bat and does a really good job with a good swing. Hits it to right, takes care of the run, the RBI, and they're still in business.
2 on, 1 out for the 9-hole hitter Dalton Guthrie. Guthrie has been hampered by a wrist injury. He actually missed the SEC tournament championship game. Back in the lineup today.
Yeah, Coach Sully's got some special freshmen. There's some really good makeup with Rivera, Guthrie, and Schwartz. It's kind of, you can see it kind of coming. In 2009, I knew they had a good team, but you saw those freshmen and the younger guys, and then all of a sudden they put it all together in 10, 11, and 12. And I think that something similar's happening right now.
Kevin O'Sullivan, who was an assistant under Jack Leggett at Clemson. When you think of that tree that Jack Leggett had going, Kevin O'Sullivan, an assistant coach, the pitching coach, Tim Corbin, an assistant coach who's now with Vanderbilt, the defending national champions. That is one heck of a coaching tree produced by Jack Leggett.
Yeah, it was always difficult when they both were there. I mean, there was just prospects everywhere. I mean, with Coach Leggett running the helm and Tim Corbin and Kevin O'Sullivan, it was a nightmare to try and play Clemson.
Kevin O'Sullivan, who played his college ball at Virginia, but he's from Jupiter, Florida. He's a Florida guy. Swing and a miss. Nasty curveball again, thrown by Ricky Page. Fourth strikeout.
He lets him get to that curveball, and that's good. And you can see a little pain. I saw he didn't feel good. He let go of that bat a little bit early, Dalton Guthrie. I don't know how healthy that wrist is. I think there's a reason they've hit him ninth this evening.
Back to the top of the order, and Bader. Squibbed foul. This Gator lineup, 4 freshmen, 2 sophomores, 2 juniors, and 1 senior in Tobias. Their starting pitcher, Logan Shore, is only a sophomore. Tomorrow, we'll see A.J. Puck, who is sensational. He's another young one. This team is good, and they're going to be even better next year in all likelihood.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of drop off. I mean, they'll lose Martin, most likely lose Bader, they'll lose a couple bullpen guys. Tobias obviously is going to be missed, but there's guys in the freshman class, there's guys in the sophomore class. I mean, they got them in every class. It's just been a tremendous job recruiting by the Gators coaching staff, and they're just set up.
Swing and a miss, down on one knee. The Gators are the only program in college baseball to be a national seed 6 out of the last 7 years.
Yeah, Bear Bryant said it in the 60s. For all sports, I guess. If they get the right coach, everybody else is playing for second place.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. How about Ricky Page? He's not giving in. That's 5 strikeouts.
They managed that inning, 3 early singles, but he just kept throwing it. Big punch out to Bader, gets out of the inning with not too much damage.
The NCAA Baseball Regionals presented by Capital One. 1-0 our score through 2 innings of work here in Gainesville, McKeithen Stadium. Mike Morgan with Dave Perno. The Florida Gators, 6 out of the last 7 years, a national seed. Here are the national seeds, the top 8 teams in the country. Florida at number 4, LSU also from the Southeastern Conference at number 2. A lot of usual suspects there, with of course the notable exception being Missouri State sneaking in that number 8 spot. I think a lot of people in these parts thought we'd see a 3rd SEC school, either Vanderbilt or Texas A&M, but Missouri State winds up taking the crown.
Well, I personally thought it was going to be Dallas Baptist.
Yeah.
They were up front in good RPI all year, but Missouri State had a little better tournament than Dallas Baptist.
Again, if you're new to college baseball, 16 regionals. The number 1 seed typically is the host team. Those 16 winners of the regionals will advance to 8 super regionals, which are best 2 out of 3. And then those winners advance to the College World Series. LSU, another one of those national seeds, battling Lehigh as we speak. You can catch that on the SEC Network alternate channel or ESPN 3. The winner of this game takes on South Florida tomorrow. That'll be at 6 o'clock Eastern time. Bottom third of the order up for the Rattlers. This is Jeremy Barlow, the catcher. Cranks one foul.
But you got to be pleased if you're Jamie Shoup. You give up 3 hits and bases loaded, nobody out, and you get out of it with just giving up 1.
And that certainly had the makings of a big inning. Great damage control by Ricky Page. Now the question will be, can the Rattlers get something off of Logan Shore? Well, they get a leadoff walk. That's a start.
Very uncharacteristic there. Had to count 1-2 and just couldn't finish him.
So as we mentioned, Alec Wong would not stay in the game. Just an honorary visit to the starting lineup. But he is hurt. Kendall Weeks will man second base and will hit in the 8 hole. Squaring and taking one low. I don't know about you, Coach, but the more I read up on Florida A&M, the more I was amazed at some of the talent that has come through this program, particularly back in the 70s and 80s. There's an impressive list of names. Bunt fouled back. It's 1-1. Andre Dawson played for FAMU, was a draft pick of the Montreal Expos in 1975. Somehow Andre Dawson slipped to the 11th round. Where were the scouts on that one?
Well, that must have slipped because he was at FAMU. Marquise Grissom. Who else?
Marquise Grissom. He was a 3rd rounder in '88 by the Expos. Bunt is popped up. It'll bounce in front of the pitcher, and they'll go to second to get the force. So it actually worked out in Florida's favor.
Yeah, that's just couldn't do much there. The base runner had to hold. Barlow had to wait and make sure it wasn't caught. You saw Logan Shore dive for one earlier in the game, but they made the right play there. You don't want to dive for that one. Runner can't go anywhere. You'll get the lead out.
Weeks hits into the fielder's choice. Now Peter Jackson, the 9-hole hitter. Jackson out of St. Louis, Missouri. I'll throw 2 more names at you. Hal McRae was a Rattler, and Vince Coleman.
Wow.
Vince
I
Coleman.
know who the recruiting coordinator was. How did he get those done?
Vince Coleman, who was a 10th round pick of the Cardinals in 1982. Chop to the left side. There's one. No. In and out of the glove, or did they say held on it? Yes.
Yeah, they got him on the exchange.
They got him on the exchange, exactly.
And they gave him a double play because of the slide.
We'll take a look at that one when we come back. Florida dodges a bullet. Gators leading it 1-0.
Kendall Weeks had a tough half inning. He couldn't get a bunt down, trying to move a runner over. Then a legal slide. You have to go straight into the bag. You can't be inside lane or outside lane. You have to slide directly into the bag, and unfortunately he didn't. He cost him an out.
When people talk about some of the biggest differences in the big league game and the college game, that's one of them.
That's
a legal slide in Major League Baseball.
Absolutely.
Good call by second base umpire John Bullock.
You know, but at the same time, why is Kendall Weeks playing? Is because Wong received one. So when you see it happen to your team, you sure don't want to. You learn. You're supposed to learn a lesson, and you don't go out there. I know Coach Shoup is. That rule's been in play for a long time in college athletics. Slide straight into the bag.
That's a great point. Alec Wong, their starting second baseman, not in this game because of an illegal slide committed by a player with Savannah State. Not only that cost Wong the rest of the season, he's going to have surgery, a torn ACL and MCL. That's why the rule's in place. Pitch upstairs to Buddy Reed. 2-3-4 up for the Gators. Reed, Martin, and Tobias. There you see Alec Wong. He meant so much to this team this year. And that's why Coach Shoup wanted to make sure he was honored today by putting him in the lineup.
I'll tell you what, Ricky Page has looked tremendous. To 8 of the 9 hitters. Even the guys that got hits, he made good pitches. But to Buddy Reed, he has had a tough go.
Yeah, that's his kryptonite. Reed aboard for the second time.
I mean, realistically, they're only looking for a couple more innings out of Ricky Page. He's given them everything they needed. You just got to stay away from the leadoff walk.
Martin cranks one foul. Richie Martin. His grandfather, Walter Thomas, played in the Negro Leagues for the Kansas City Monarchs. Tardy on that one. Some of the assistant coaches for the Gators, that's Brad Weitzel.
Yeah, they got a pair of them here. Brad Weitzel's a phenomenal baseball guy, and Craig Bell, the third base coach, is outstanding as well.
Check swing, bounced foul. You know that as a coach how important the staff is.
Oh yeah, they you know, and Kevin, it was huge. I mean, not only did he get them, but he's kept the continuity, and there's so much for that, and so important to your ball club stability and continuity, and Florida's very good at it.
Breaking ball, Squibber right side, and first baseman slips. That's Birdsong, lost his footing, and everybody is safe.
Yeah, it was just a tough play. Yeah, it was like a perfect bunt in that situation with side spin on it, and just a really tough play for Birdsong. He caps it off the end of the bat. You got a left-hander on the mound. Martin was probably going to beat him to the bag anyway. That's a hit all the way.
Yeah, infield single, 4th hit of the game for the Gators. Now Josh Tobias. Two on and nobody out. The Gators trying to get that big inning off of Ricky Page, who has been stingy so far. Just foul. He ambushed that pitch.
Yeah, I believe if I'm Kennedy, I'm not playing the bunt anymore. I'm going to go ahead and back up. Man, I think he has. Now he's trying to creep in a little bit.
I don't think he'll be crashing in. Creeping might be more apropos.
Well, it's just not set up. It looks like the first baseman is ready to come in charge, but the second baseman is holding him on at second, and you got your third baseman too tight. I back my third baseman out, get my second baseman a little closer to first, let my left-handed pitcher cover the third base line and the first baseman cover the first base line if they do bunt. But I will get me a little more range at that on that third base side, because you let something get down the line or in the corner here, you're definitely staring down a big inning.
Ground ball to third. To second for one. On to first. Not in time. And now the Rattlers, I think they might want an illegal slide. Saying, hey, you called it on us. What was legal about that slide?
Well, they called everybody safe. Richie Martin still standing on second base.
You can't tell from that angle. I thought initially he was on the bag. I didn't even think there was a controversy there. Oh, you've got to give him that call, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
That's a little. Well, I thought Kennedy should have tagged the runner.
Yeah.
He was right in front of him. And again, you know, we talked about it. Weeks didn't know if he was covering first on the bunt or covering second. You know, you're either or. I mean, you can't be in no man's land where you're late getting the second, you're going to be late getting the first. As soon as you got out of it and you weren't in the bunt, then you're in the double play up the middle, and you got to be a stationary target. He was trying to move and catch that ball coming across. He's had a tough go at it. He's just too far. He's got to get there. But I would have made certain, if I was Kennedy, get me an out.
Yeah.
He was running right to you. You still might have had time to tag him and to go to another base. But you got a double play ball, and it's not a disaster if you don't turn double play. It's a disaster when you don't get one out.
Right. Well, I could see why Jamie Shoup's upset. I realize the neighborhood call sometimes gets out of hand, but that was so close.
Well, I think what caused it, he was late. Kendall Weeks was a little late. You need to be there set up. I mean, that's a standard play right there. I mean, routine ground ball to third base with runners at first or first and second like it was. You got to get across the runner.
Just a reminder for those that have been used to replay throughout the SEC season, we do not have that in the regionals. Chopper to third, throw home. It's bounced over there. A nice job by the catcher Barlow to record the out. So a break there for Ricky Page and company. But again, no replay in the regionals. We'll have it back in the Supers, and then of course back in the College World Series.
I mean, he could be out of this inning.
Yeah.
If they get an out there, that was another bona fide double play ball. He probably could have stepped on third and threw across there.
Meanwhile, J.J. Schwartz, he of the 14 bombs this season, steps in and will try to break this game open. It's still a 1-0 game. We're in the third. Florida has been flirting with the big inning. Haven't gotten it yet.
You know, Alonso, the one thing you got to teach your guys, when there's a runner at third, you can't hit the ball to third. He just can't. You know, you got to get the ball in the air. And if you go to pull side and you're right-handed, you got to get the ball in the air. Just can't risk hitting the ball to third.
Swing and a miss. If Ricky Page gets out of this hot water, it'll be a huge lift for the Rattlers. Page out of Ocala, Florida. Father played in the Twins organization. His uncle Steve Page played baseball at Western Kentucky. reach the seats. So a full count, sacks packed with Gators. 1 out in the inning. LSU Lehigh on the SEC Network alternate channel and on ESPN3.
You got to show some patience here if you're Schwartz.
Off the plate outside, he walked in a run.
Really good job. I knew that Ricky Page wasn't giving in to him there, and that's good discipline for the freshman. You got bases loaded, you want to hit, you get it to a full count. He showed some good patience there, some good plate discipline.
Vasquez, the starting right fielder, singled back in the second. And strokes one down the right field line, just foul.
You know, you almost want left-handers against Ricky Page. You know, a lot of guys like tomorrow, Puck's pitching. Well, you know, you don't want left-handers facing that. But this is a left-hander that you're almost better shape. The softer they throw, the more left-handers you want in there.
Vasquez 3 for 4 with the bases loaded this season. Curveball cranked to right field, base hit. Tobias scores. Alonso will hold up at third. The Gators will play it safe, take the run, and the lead is now 3-0.
Boy, he stays right on it. He just doesn't have anything for a lefty that is willing to hit the ball in the middle of the field. And the velo's down a little bit. And now I think we're going to see a ton of sidearm matchup guys the rest of the way.
This is what FAMU does. Their starters typically don't go deep into games, but they will go pitcher after pitcher after pitcher, situational. And it looks like that'll close the books on Ricky Page. We'll tell you about the new Rattlers hurler when we come back. Gators 3, FAMU nothing. Been all Gators thus far, 3-0 in the bottom of the third, and Florida not done yet, threatening with the bases loaded, 1 out. An early call to the bullpen for the Rattlers. Brandon Fleming, a submariner, 7-1 on the year, a .279 earned run average.
Now you're going to have to make some adjustments if you're Florida. You got to get on the plate, get up in the box, and don't let these guys from down under get you bending at the waist.
Fleming is a ground ball pitcher all the way. Keeps the ball low and can be murder on right-handers. Chopped to short and bobbled, and everybody is safe. Oh, Elkins had it right in the glove.
He did. He got the nice hop. It was just a case of trying to be too quick. Didn't secure it. You don't turn double plays, big guy. Teams hit into him. And that was one that Florida hit into, and they didn't sure up the first out. You know, too many young infielders try and get the double play by themselves. It's going to take 2 on ground balls. You got to make a good feed, and a good feed leads to another, and you'll get a good pivot, and you have plenty of time with Rivera running.
Now this Florida team is just too good to make these kinds of mistakes and hope to win.
Now the inning started with a leadoff walk, and it kind of created the momentum that Florida needed, and they just hadn't executed. You only see 1 error on the board,
but more than that,
there's been more than that, and you know, it's caused a big inning and potentially with more to come.
9-hole hitter is Dalton Guthrie, strikeout victim back in the second. it's this kind of game where I don't envy you guys, you coaches, because if I'm Jamie Shoup, I'm pulling my hair out over what's happened in this inning.
Yeah, and it's been a tough run for Kendall Weeks, who's filled in for Wong. I mean, it's, you know, you can tell he just hadn't played a whole lot this year. He had a tough at bat. He didn't get a bunt down, and then he had a bad slide, and you know, was late getting to the bag on one play. They say he didn't. I thought it was a tough call. I agree with you on that, Mike. I thought it was an area call. I thought he was close enough to get the benefit of the doubt.
2-2, looping liner into center. This will score another run as Schwartz touches home plate, and the lead is now 5-0 Florida.
Yeah, good swing right there. His wrist didn't have any problem with his wrist there. Dalton Guthrie came up big and drove it up the middle, and Florida's looking to stretch it for more. Back at the top of the lineup.
Gators have batted around. Bader drives one high and deep to right center. Park will hold it. Catch made by Jackson. A run will score as they tag up from second and third, and the Gators now have a 6-0 lead. Florida will just keep coming at you and at you and at you. And when you think you have one guy figured out, there's about 8 others that can kill you.
Bader needed that swing. His first 2 at-bats, he had a tough go at it. But then you saw what he's capable of doing. He really does a good job working down, stays behind the baseball, drove it the other way. I think his first couple of bats, he might have been trying to yank on balls.
Well, he probably sent Ricky Page a box of chocolates to get him out of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, it was probably good to face someone else.
Page had him baffled with that curveball, but he's out. Fleming is in. A tough spot for a relief pitcher, particularly when it's your first regional game in program history. I'm sure there's some nerves running through the bodies of everyone dressed in black tonight. There's really no substitute for experience in these situations. If you haven't been there before, there's a lot to be nervous about.
For sure.
Reed looks at strike 2. Buddy Reed has walked twice. I read somewhere in the student paper here on campus, the Alligator, that somebody timed Buddy Reed home to first in 3.7.
I can believe that.
Yeah?
From the left side.
That's pretty strong.
Yeah, no, he's athletic, boy. He can go.
Inside, runner goes, no chance. Guthrie with the stolen base.
Yeah, that's the one thing you give up with these sidearm guys. They're a little bit slower to the plate. They don't have a lot of velo on their pitches, and it makes it tough to contain that running game. And Fleming is, I mean, he's borderline softballish. He's so low.
Yeah. Bounce to second. Nothing routine this inning for FAMU, but this time they get the out. But the Gators bat around, score 5 runs, and now lead it 6-0. Gators on top of the Rattlers, 6-0. For more coverage of the Division I baseball tournament and interactive brackets, go to NCAA.com. Our bracket here, pretty simple thus far. USF defeated FAU in game 1. They're in the winner's bracket. They'll take on the winner of this game tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. The elimination game will kick off tomorrow's coverage from Gainesville at 1 o'clock. Logan Shore has been staked to a 6-0 lead. There you see the bracket. I don't know if I'd call USF over FAU an upset, but it was a 3-2, technically speaking. But not surprisingly, the Bulls are in the winner's bracket. And right now, looking like it could very well be a Gators-Bulls matchup tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Don't sleep on USF, folks. They are from the American Conference, which was ranked 3rd in conference RPI. Got good pitchings, just enough hitting. Speaking of hitting, this will be caught. What a catch. Buddy Reed.
Really? I thought that was Vasquez's ball. It was slicing away, working back to Vasquez, and look at the ground that Buddy Reed gains in the last 3 steps. I mean, he closed on that ball as good as anybody I've ever seen. Great jump, direct route, catches it at the lowest point. You can't do it any better. That's a top play.
That is a SportsCenter top 10 nominee indeed.
I mean, that's what you get. That's what they call about cornerbacks. Closing speed.
Yes.
That's as good as closing speed as you can get in center field.
We were just talking about his speed home to first, right? 3.7.
Yeah, you called it.
Yeah, that was on display right there. And this hammered in the left for a base hit. So FAMU's got to be saying, hey, we could have had a run here. I thought that ball was ticketed for the gap, and it had double written all over it.
I did. And when a ball comes off a right-hander's bat, it works to the line. I mean,
right,
it works
slicing
to the right field line, and it was coming back, and Vasquez is left-handed. I thought when it left the bat, I thought if anybody was going to catch it, it was going to be him.
Did we mention the Gators play good defense? I mean, it's
like I said, they're good defensive clubs, but there's also good great defensive clubs that cover ground.
Right.
And that's what you see from LSU, and that's what you see from Florida. I really think they're the 2 best teams in the country.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think that's a great point too, because in the day and age of baseball, such a stat game, I don't know if fielding percentage is the best indicator of defense, because it doesn't indicate range,
no,
which is what you're talking about.
And so I've had really good defensive teams that had good fielding percentages, but we just didn't get to enough balls.
Right. Almost a strike him out, throw him out double play there. Shore gets the punch out for the 2nd out of the inning as Gibbs is retired.
Yeah, just a good pitch.
This
I don't
young
know
man,
what Gibbs was looking for there, but that was a good hard fastball. That was a #1 coming at you.
we haven't talked much about Mike Rivera, the freshman catcher for the Gators, but he's special. He is not your typical freshman backstop.
No, and mentally he is so beyond his years. He's a throwback. He's a tough guy. He's blue collar all the way. He's a leader, and he plays the right position. And when you get 2 guys like him and Schwartz, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
an embarrassment of riches. That's what that is.
Yeah.
You saw on that last play, or before the last pitch, Rivera looking over to the dugout, and there you see him doing it again. He will on occasion call his own pitches, which is something very rare for college catchers.
Oh, it is. Freshman.
Yeah.
It's unheard of. I mean, I remember Zunino when he was here. I don't think he called pitches when he was a freshman. Now, when he was a junior, he was running everything and capable of it. But to be a freshman and run the show like he does, I'm sure they won't go much longer in this game, and Rivera's Coach Sully will let him take over this game.
2-1 delivery. And a hot shot over the glove of the leaping Tobias and into left field. So give the Rattlers credit. They're getting some good aluminum on the ball here off of Logan Shore in the 4th.
They have. You know, when you get runs like Florida did, tendency is, I mean, that Shore hadn't thrown a pitch like that the whole night. I mean, that ball is right over the heart of the plate at the belt. But you know, it's human nature. You let your guard down just enough. You sit over in that dugout for 20 minutes while your team scores 6 runs, and you lose that just a little bit of stuff. You lose a little bit of mental capacity that you need, and you're just not as crisp as you need to be.
Brian Davis, the designated hitter, the 5-hole batter for the Rattlers. Takes one outside. We've seen the range from the Florida defense. Their fielding percentage .985 coming into tonight's action. That is the 4th best mark of all time in the history of college baseball. I mean, to put it in perspective, I've seen teams set school records with .975. That's considered outstanding. To go .985 is
that's
ridiculous.
a different league. I mean, their big league clubs don't field that.
No. 1-1. Bounce to the right side. Diving stop by Alonso, and over to the covering shore.
I mean,
Case in point.
I mean, who isn't gonna make a diving play tonight? They got a contest going on. They're challenging everybody. Reed, great jump, direct route, layout, outstanding. Makeup speed right there, closing speed. Those last 3 steps is just phenomenal.
Gators 6, Rattlers nothing. Bottom of the 4th about to unfold. Joined now by the head coach of the Florida Gators, Kevin O'Sullivan, in his 8th year. Coach, I'm going to start right off. We've been bragging about your defense. You've seen a lot of great defensive players in your time. Is this the best defense you've ever coached?
Yeah, I think, usually you're strong up the middle, but we're good on the corners as well. But that was a heck of a play by Buddy Reed to, especially start the inning off.
Well, Coach Sully, how about Shore? You pleased with them? You like what you're seeing?
Yeah, I think we, just got to get the ball down here. He walked the leadoff man there an inning ago, but just get the ball down just a little bit. But he's throwing strikes, and we want to keep his pitch count down.
All right, Coach, we'll let you get back to it. Thank you for the time.
All right, thanks, guys.
3, 4, 5, the meaty part of the lineup due up. Martin, Tobias, and Alonso. If anybody should reach, J.J. Schwartz ready to go. Martin is 1 for 2 and watches that one float over at 75. Ground ball up the middle. Second baseman makes the play. Nice recovery there. Kendall Weeks, who had a little bit of a shaky go of it early, makes a good job on this play.
Well, I was on him, Mike, but Kendall Weeks has bounced back and made a really nice play look easy there. Richie Martin can really run. Kendall Weeks circled that ball, came through it, and made a good throw.
Now Josh Tobias. He has come a long way now in his senior campaign, and he'll wear one here. Another base runner for the Gators.
Yeah, that's what you do, hitters. Just hold your ground right there. That's the one thing you have is your batter's box. Hold it. These guys are tough to hit. In most cases with a guy like Tobias, a hit by a pitch is a double because you can get a good jump off sidewinders, and you can steal a bag here if Florida elects to do so.
Alonso the batter. 6-0 Gators. We're in the 4th. LSU and Lehigh doing battle at the box in Baton Rouge. That's on the SEC alternate channel.
Well, I think LSU pitched off game 1. I saw
did not go with Lang
or Poche, and they had the luxury of you could go either way on that one. It doesn't matter who's your number 1, but they ended up going with Alton Cartwright, and then I think they had a rain delay and brought in Bain after him. So You know, there's mixed theories on that.
Fly ball to right. Jackson is there. Those that don't know what coach is talking about, when you say pitched off, coaches have the decision here. Typically, if you're the #1 seed, if you're the host seed, your most challenging game is not going to be on Friday night. It's going to be on Saturday. So some teams, some coaches actually save their top starters for days 2 and 3 as opposed to day 1. That's not a strategy you're real fond of.
Well, I think it's tough. You know, from a standpoint, and I'm definitely not for throwing #3 out there. You know, I don't mind switching 1 and 2, going 2 game 1, your ace going on game 2. I think that's a move that you can make, especially if the matchup works. But when you run a #3 out there, I just don't know what kind of message you send to your team.
That one crawls over home plate. I know one thing, if you do pitch off.
Oh, I did it too in 08 and got our brains beat in by Lipscomb. So, you know, I learned the hard way. So I show up in the office the next morning, and you would have think, and we just won the SEC.
Right.
We were just struggling down the stretch. But the other side of it is our ace wasn't healthy, and I was trying to buy him another day, and so we went with our #3, and it burned us. And fortunately, we had a lot of guts. We had some pitching depth on that team, some resiliency, and we got through the hate emails, and we ended up winning it. So
yeah, you can laugh about it now. You went to Omaha for crying out loud.
It was brilliant. Now,
no need to be bitter if it turns out into a trip to the World Series.
That's right.
Schwartz down to the count, no balls, 2 strikes. Again, it's double elimination in all these regionals. But if you stay in the winner's bracket after Friday, you're in so much better shape. And if you can do so after Saturday, you're in the driver's seat.
Oh, yeah, it's huge. And I'll tell you, Mike, I'll go a little farther. In 08, we lost 3 games to 4 seeds. That year finished 2nd in the country. Figure that math out.
Is that right?
Yes.
Two and 2 now the count. Well, that's what I love about the regionals overall. There is an extra element of strategy.
There is a lot more strategy in the regional than there probably is in the Super and World Series because of the days off in the World Series, and the Super is just like a weekend series.
Right. I think there's more strategy in the regional, and I've been told I'm crazy on this, not the first time, but having called some games in Super regionals and in Omaha, I think there's more pressure on the teams in the Super because when you get to Omaha, you exhale and you say, we got here.
Yeah.
We made it to the promised land.
And you got a day off.
Yeah.
In between.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Fleming does a nice job. When we come back, we'll talk to Coach Shoup of FAMU, Florida A&M. 6-0 our score. Florida on top 6-0. We are pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Rattlers, Jamie Shoup. And Jamie, I'm going to go a little bit off topic in terms of not just the game at hand, but what it means for you and this program to make it to the first regional in program history. What has that meant to you personally?
Well, we're excited, obviously, to be here. I hope we would play better. To this point, we haven't played well enough to keep ourselves in a ball game with a very good Florida team. So, we're excited, though, to be in the postseason for the first time in the history of school. And, we just got to play baseball. Florida's a very, very talented team, but, we've got a good baseball team. And, we got to come back and try to get back in this ball. It's going to be very difficult because Florida's very talented, but we've got to give quality at-bats. We've got to make the routine plays. We've got to, execute on the bases. We got to, a couple things we got to do that could have helped our situation. But, we're still grinding. We'll battle for 9 innings. I can promise you that.
Yeah, Coach, I'm just going to congratulate you. You've done a tremendous job with this team, and you had them ready to play. And I'm just very excited for you. And you should be proud of your ball club.
I'm proud of these guys, no doubt about it. I'm proud of FAMU baseball in 2015. We've battled all year, and I tell you what, we'll battle the rest of this ball game. I can promise you that as well.
No doubt. Coach, thank you so much for the time.
Good luck, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Jamie Shoup, longtime assistant under Coach Martin at Florida State, 21 years as the pitching coach. My favorite story, talking to Coach Shoup yesterday, I said, you know, what kind of challenges did you have when you took over at Florida A&M? He said, well, the facilities were at a point where I had to do something. Downstairs, he said, the first thing I did was raise $75,000, bought a tractor and bulldozed our batting cages so we could build new ones, new covered batting cages.
And he got him.
And he got him.
And that's getting it done. And that's old school and finding a way. I mean, hey, these stadiums didn't used to be like this.
Right.
And all over the country, you have 16 sites, and every one of them's beautiful facilities, ballparks. College baseball wasn't like that. And it's a credit to and a thank you to ESPN and all the people, all the fans, and all the administrations that have invested in baseball and have created this monster, I guess, is the best way I can describe it, because it's a neat experience now for these young men to play in this regional and the coverage that they get.
Florida Gators, the #1 seed in this regional. The softball team, the #1 overall seed, the defending national champions, leading LSU 2-0. Can you believe it? She did it again. Who is she, you might ask? Well, that would be one Lauren Hager, who was already the only player in NCAA history with 60 wins and 60 home runs. I'll have to double check the numbers.
Well,
with that home run, she might be 70-70.
I called it a month ago. I called a sweep national championships.
You did?
Yes.
Alonso will take it to the bag himself to retire Michael Birdsong. You got J.J. Schwartz, his sister plays on the softball team. And how about this? I've never heard of this statistic in my years of covering baseball and keeping an eye at least on softball. The University of Florida is #1 in fielding percentage in the country in baseball and in softball. They are flashing some leather here in Gainesville.
Well, they know what wins, and it's pitching and defense. And they find a way to score enough runs, but it comes back to pitching and defense. That gives you a chance to win every time out. And both of these teams down here in Gainesville do a tremendous job with it.
Inside on Barlow, he had no choice but to wear that one. He's on for the second time. There's a select few programs that are in a baseball regional and in the Women's College World Series in softball. Auburn, Florida, LSU, 3 SEC schools, Michigan, Oregon, and UCLA. And again, the Gators are the defending national champions. Coach Walton does a great job with that program.
And Michigan, Coach Bakich, they had a big win today. They had to win the Big Ten tournament to get in, and they did that, and they had a big first-round win in their regional.
Well, now you're just going next level on me, Coach.
Yeah, I can do that now, Mike. It's regional time, man. You got to step up your game.
I thought I was impressing you with the Lauren Hager stat. You're just going next level.
I had to one-up you. Stay ahead.
I'm used
keep
to
you
it.
Sharp.
I'm used to it.
Yeah, you got the edge on me. You're social media savvy. You got the famous tweet today earlier in the first game that just blew everybody's socks off.
Truly the high water mark of my career. My tweet made the bases loaded program today. 1-2 now the count on Kendall Weeks. Tell you, they have done a tremendous job with bases loaded now the last 3 years. 1-2 pitch, got him. Another punch out for Logan Shore, his second.
This is a good pitch by Logan Shore. Just good action, running away. And he's got good stuff today. The only thing that Logan Shore struggled with this year, difference last year, freshman All-American, but is getting wins. He couldn't quite get that run support that he got last year, but the stuff's been there. He's throwing the ball good, and I agreed with Kevin O'Sullivan in going with him game one. Get him some confidence. I mean, he's feeling good about himself, but let him go out there and do what he does. Get a win leading into the regional.
Well, that's been the only thing that has plagued this Florida team this year. They have lost the first game of the series 7 out of 10 times in conference. Then they lost the first game in the SEC tournament.
Yes.
Had to win 4 in a row to win the championship there in Hoover.
Oh, they're like a fine wine now. They get better the longer they play. I mean, they really do. I mean, because that's when they really, you see their pitching depth.
Jackson chops one to the right side for out number 3. Bottom third of the order, 2 up for the Gators, who lead it 6-0. Don't miss a minute of the action from the NCAA Baseball Regionals. Follow every game on ESPN2, ESPNU, ESPN3, or watch ESPN. We'll also take you to the best live action on the Bases Loaded channel on ESPN3 or the Watch ESPN app. You can see every game and every big moment on the road to the College World Series only on the ESPN networks. I was just raving about the Bases Loaded channel earlier. It's today, I think the guys are going about 10 hours, and it is addictive. If you love baseball, you can just sit there and watch highlights of every regional, all 16 of them. Great stuff, and a great job by everybody out there.
Kyle on ESPNU and Ben McDonald on the SEC Network.
Yeah.
Well, I hope there's some games going on when we get back. I want to check them out.
West Coast.
That's right.
We'll be ready to go. Nine pitchers have thrown at least 21 innings for the Rattlers. This is not uncommon. This is the way they work. Record, the new pitcher here, a right-hander, and they're not done. They'll be making several more changes. Looks like another side armor.
I like it. I think they have a plan. It's original thinking, but it's not. It's their niche. And I think they do a good job. Coach Shoup's good at it. He understands what he's dealt with at Florida A&M, and he's making the most of the situation.
Johnny Holstaff. That's what they believe in.
You got to throw strikes and make your coach look good. That's the big key. I like the different looks. I like how they use them.
3-0 to Vasquez. Off the plate, ball 4, so he walked him on 4 pitches. And Jeremy Vasquez, the 7-hole hitter, has now reached all 3 times.
Yeah, he's been you know, you get those guys, you get into the season, and the big thing from a coach is you want to see your team evolve as you go through the season, the ups and the downs and the flow of the season. And boy, when you can get a guy like Vasquez that comes on the scene and is giving you a lift offensively, it's huge.
As we go around the SEC, this is what's going on. LSU Lehigh right now, the Tigers on top 6-2. Maryland leading Mississippi 3-0 in the 5th. The Aggies up on Texas Southern 2-0 in the 6th. Charleston dramatic walk-off win against Auburn. Arkansas defeats Oral Roberts 8-6. And Rivera just took one on the leg. Hopefully he's okay.
I might have to double check my records, but I believe the Big Ten is undefeated today.
Well, they had 5 teams.
And I think everybody's, well, I think they have 3 wins in the bag. I think Illinois is playing, and Maryland's beating Mississippi.
So a potential 5-0 day for the Big Ten. See this pitch just running inside, and really no chance for Rivera. That's ball on bone.
Yeah, that's a tough spot, and that, you know, and that's the thing you run into when you running a lot of side armors. A lot of times you got to get them off the plate, and you leave it arm side, and it doesn't work out for you. And you know it hurts because Rivera's tough as it comes, boy.
His favorite player is Yadier Molina. Not a bad guy to idolize if you're a catcher.
Yeah, they can do some catching in that Molina family. They understand that position.
Rivera just going to try to let the pain subside a little bit before he meanders to first.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it might be the time to pull him out. I mean, I know Schwartz catches puck in game 2, so you could buy him a half a day today, and if he needs it, but he looks like he's going to try and tough it out.
Mike Rivera out of Venice, Florida. Walking gingerly to first. It's more of a limp than it is a walk.
Since the 2000, well, that's some serious success for the Gators.
8 World Series, and one of the few things missing from the trophy case of Jeremy Foley, who has seen a lot of national titles under his guidance, is one in baseball. They've come close.
They've come close. They've finished runner-up twice, 05 and
2011.
2011.
Lost to Ray Tanner's Gamecocks.
Yeah, I figured they would do this. It's the right move. You got too much season left. You can't risk it. And you have way too much depth with this Gators team. But the Big Ten, what we were saying about the Big Ten, has been averaging 1.5 teams since they started the Supers. Might have been 2000 or 99, and they got in 5 this year.
Yeah, started the Supers in 99, and the Big Ten, like so many northern schools for years and years, you heard, well, there's too much of a disadvantage for the northern schools. We'll pick up on that when we come back. I'll tell you about the new pitcher for FAMU. Mike Morgan, Dave Perno back with you here in Gainesville, Florida, McKeithen Stadium. A 6-0 Florida lead. The Gators have been very convincing, kind of what we expected. Great starting pitching, outstanding defense,
the best,
and plenty of offense.
The best defense, and not only making good plays and routine plays, making great plays, and they're just passing the baton all over the field. And like I said, I'm committed to it. I think LSU and Florida as good as anybody in the country. But it's balanced.
Well, and 2 teams without a weakness. We talked about
that.
That's right. You know, there's a lot of teams that have strengths in college baseball. We're seeing them throughout these regionals. But how many of them can truly say they don't have a hole?
If you wanted to get picky with LSU, you might go after the bullpen just a little bit. And that's one weakness that Florida doesn't have.
Carrasco, the 4th pitcher of the night already for the Rattlers, as Guthrie tries to drop down the bunt. 2 on. Nobody out. The Gators already up 6-0, trying to break this game open here in the 5th. Guthrie 1 for 2. Wanted to complete the thought on the Big Ten for a moment, because I do think it's worth mentioning again. And I think it's good for college baseball, because for years and years we heard the northern teams complain that there's unfair advantages for the Sun Belt schools. As you see Guthrie squaring, and that one near his chin and all the way to the backstop, so the runners will advance without having to drop one down. But coach, we've gotten to the point now, whether it's a Stony Brook, a Kent State, an Indiana, I mean, the list goes on and on. You can't tell me that northern schools can't be good. Oregon State wins 2 national titles, for crying out loud.
Oh, yeah, big win today. They beat Texas. And I'll tell you, the Big Ten, the commitment from the administrations, but what forced that commitment is that Big Ten network.
Yeah.
They started getting them on TV a lot more, and you don't want your school coming on TV, the Big Ten network, and your facility not up to par. And so I think that these networks, the SEC network, Big Ten network, the PAC, I think they're helping. You know, the ACC may have to get on board to keep up.
Certainly the SEC network has been nothing but beneficial to the 14 institutions that are featured on the network. One of the reasons why you can see so many more of the teams participating in this NCAA tournament. And of course, throughout the regular season, everybody gets to be on national TV. That's a huge selling point in recruiting, as you know.
Well, and it brings visibility and importance to that program.
1-2 rolled to first, and the play is made easily by Birdsong. Runners will stay put at second and third. Seven SEC schools making it to the NCAA tournament. That was tied for the lead with the ACC. You know, 10 teams made it a year ago, and some might say, well, the SEC was a little bit down. I would disagree with that. The SEC was not as deep, but the top four
is better than as good as it's ever been.
It's ridiculous. I mean,
yeah, there's no difference. It wouldn't surprise me that if we didn't see it, what happened in 2011.
Into left center field, a base hit. This will play to pair. Bader drives in 2 more, and it's now 8-0.
Good swing by Bader. Didn't try and do too much. Take care of the guy at third. Another good situation for him with multiple runners on. You look how his back knee worked all the way to the ground on that, and that's what I love about him as a hitter. Is if you know, one of the best teaching tools I've ever received was from Jason Worth, who told me you have to work down to the ball. The pitcher, where's he trying to throw? He's trying to throw down, and he's coming from an elevated position. And I love the way Bader's approach is. He really works that back knee to the ground and drives through the ball, gets on the plane of the pitch.
Buddy Reed looks at strike 1.
But we were talking about 2011 when Florida, South Carolina played for national championship, but Vanderbilt played Florida in the semifinals.
Right.
That wouldn't shock me if it happened again.
Absolutely.
LSU, Florida, and either A&M or Vandy.
Right.
And don't count Arkansas out.
0-1 off the plate. Throw down to second, not in time. A stolen bag for Harrison Bader. You get the feeling there's a lot of guys in this Florida team that can just pick and choose when they want to steal.
Yeah, they just, again, and it's just the balance of their lineups. Them and LSU are just a little bit different than everybody else. They got a little bit of power. They got a lot of athleticism, a lot of speed. There's just so many different ways they can beat you.
Then you got Vanderbilt, who might have the deepest pitching staff in America.
Well, I don't know if it's deep. They're a top heavy,
yeah.
But it's yeah, they can beat you.
Yeah.
And in a super regional, if Vandy gets in trouble, they'll get in trouble this weekend. Because if they get into a 3-game series, it's tough to think that they're going to get beat. And then you start giving them days off in Omaha.
Right.
I mean, those guys can do it. I think they're going to have to maybe try and get Buehler back in the 2 slot. I just think you don't want to go into a situation where you're 1-1 and Buehler hadn't pitched yet.
3-1 to Buddy Reed, cuts and misses. And then Texas A&M was the best hitting team for much of the way this year in the Southeastern Conference. So those 4 teams, that's about as good a quartet as I've ever seen come out of this league. And we've been treated to some great years of Southeastern Conference baseball.
Yeah, my concern with A&M is I've seen some shoddy performances down the stretch. Some either it's been some bad defense or some poor pitching. And I just haven't seen it from the LSU team or the Florida team or even the Vandy team. If they get beat a close game. You know, they hang in there and things don't work out. But the quality of baseball is still premium.
Payoff pitch. Soft liner, left center field, base hit. Here comes Bader. He'll be there without a throw. Into second on the slide. Safe is Buddy Reed. 9-0 Gators.
That's a hustle double right there. I mean, that ball doesn't get up a gap. Good swing, good use of hands, but it's get out of the box after that. Cut off clean, and a really good throw to second base. Buddy Reed, hustle double. He turns that corner, gets the inside of first base, and makes up his mind, never hesitates. Well, he's helping himself for next year's draft tonight. I can promise you that. With that closing speed in center, those hands at the plate, and that speed on the base pass.
You know, he's only a sophomore. He hit over 300 this year. If you figure that learning curve continues to get better next year, that's the kind of guy that could lead the league in steals next season.
No, for sure. And you talk about Vanderbilt's got Fulmer, Bueller, Swanson this year. Then the scouts drooling every time Vandy plays. Well, let me tell you, Puck, Dunning, and Reed, there ain't a whole lot of difference next year. They're going to be living in Gainesville.
Ball is jerked foul. There you see the SEC stacks up once again at the top in NCAA tournament bids. The ACC tied with 7, Pac-12 6, Big Ten a landmark year, most ever for that conference with 5. The American, which is featured here with South Florida, they had a banner year. South Florida, of course, in the winner's bracket, waiting to take on the winner of this game. That'll be tomorrow at 6 o'clock. That ball clipped the helmet. Wasn't much on it, but it clipped the helmet of Richie Martin.
You talked about the American Athletic, and there were a couple teams that at one time they were in too.
Right.
UCF was in great position early on.
Terrific. They were in the top 10 at one point.
Memphis had a good season. I mean, there's a lot of quality clubs there in that conference. You know, the one thing hurting the Big 12 and the American Athletic a little bit, they need a few more teams.
Right.
I think it expands your conference schedule, gives you more games to work with. It just makes you more visible.
Here's Tobias. Off the plate outside. Josh Tobias, his final chance at a national championship this year, a senior. He was part of that 2012 team that made it to Omaha. The Gators had back-to-back under Coach O'Sullivan trips to the World Series, 2010, 11, and 12. That is so hard to do.
Well, it's setting up again. You might see it again coming right there if they can finish off this year the right way. And again, you know, I mentioned Puck and Dunning and Reed. How about Logan Shore? He's just a sophomore. I mean, and then that phenomenal freshman class.
In the air to left. Coming on, it's Gibbs making the grab. 2 gone. We haven't even talked about the Florida bullpen, which
forget
is
it.
Beyond
There's so
deep.
many guys down there. They could have a JV team and be competitive. I mean, what their bullpen did last weekend, starting on, I guess it was Friday, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and now you were playing Arkansas, LSU, and Vandy, and just incredible.
Strike one to Alonso. 8th Gator to come to the plate here in the home half of the 5th. Already 3 runs in. Strike called at the hollow of the knees. 0-2. Yeah, that SEC tournament championship run was impressive to say the least. One ball, 2 strikes. You don't always carry that momentum into the regionals, though. In fact, 3 of the last 5 years, teams that won the SEC tournament actually lost in the regional round.
Yeah, it's a tough deal. It's a lot of baseball down there, but when you're as deep as Florida is, you need it.
Yeah.
You needed guys to get innings. You needed guys to get at bats. And you know, the fatigue factor, it wasn't a factor.
1-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. Alonso goes down swinging, but the Gators plate 3 more through 5. 9-0 Florida. Top of the 6th about to unfold. It's the Gators, the number 1 seed in the bracket, and the number 4 national seed in the lead, a commanding 9-0 lead. The winner of this game will take on USF tomorrow, and that's now been moved to 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock Eastern time. And that'll be on the SEC Network alternate channel, we are told. So look forward to that ball game tomorrow night. The elimination game will be at 1 o'clock. That'll be on ESPN 3. You can also catch parts of that as well on the Bases Loaded channel, which will be on ESPNU, as we get a look at the first reliever for the Florida Gators. It's Frank Rubio, his 14th appearance, 0-1, a 2.55, 17 2/3. Obviously, nothing wrong with Logan Shore. He was working on a 2-hit shutout, but when you got a 9-0 lead, you might as well rest him up.
Yeah, he did his job, got him off to a good start, let his defense play, and let that offense get some runs, and now he gets the rest of the night off and refresh for what hopefully you would think not till next weekend in the Super.
Top of the order due up for the Rattlers. Walker, Elkins, and Gibbs combined 1 for 6. Frank Rubio is a sophomore from Miami Shores, Florida. Played for a great high school program, St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah, a lot of tradition there.
Walker slices that one into the stands. Nice night at the office for Logan Shore. 5 innings. Allowed just 2 hits, 1 walk. Pretty much in control. You got the feeling if you kept him out there, he was going to be a tough riddle to solve.
Yeah, he had it going good. He did exactly what we talked about on the scouting report. Fastball on both sides, got some mileage out of his changeup. And a good pitch right there by Frank Rubio.
Rubio painting to the opening batter he faces.
I mean, just locks him down. Sneaky little arm side run. Gets right underneath his hands. Locks him down.
Gator bullpen has been superb of late. You talked about it, Dave, the incredible run. You really have to if you're going to win a tournament like the SEC tournament in the losers bracket, which is what they did, losing that first game. your bullpen's going to have to play a major role.
Oh, major role. And at the same time, you don't want to crush your starters anyway. So you're going to protect them anyway. And you know, the benefit of it is, though, they did make Saturday just a one-game deal. So you don't have that if necessary game to get to the championship, and that only makes it easier for Florida when you only got to win. Basically, they had to win once Thursday, once Friday, once Saturday, once Sunday. And no double headers. I mean, they're deadly.
Yeah, I like the changes they've made to the SEC tournament. To shortstop, Martin. Wow. They make it look easy, don't they?
They do. I mean, he even lost his footing, but the sure grab fronting that ball, and he looked like he was going to drop the one knee, ends up dropping the two. He's got enough arm strength, good feet to gather himself and make a strong throw to first.
Two gone, no one on for Marlon Gibbs. And Frank Rubio.
That's too easy.
Makes quick work of the Rattlers in the 6th.
That play was too easy, Mike. They got to make it tougher on these Gators. I'll tell you what.
The NCAA Baseball Regionals presented by Capital One. Alongside three-time World Series coach Dave Perno, I am Mike Morgan. Home half of the 6th inning. It's the Gators 9 and the Rattlers nothing. Florida looks to be well on its way to a matchup with South Florida tomorrow in the winner's bracket. And again, that'll be at 7 o'clock. The elimination game, which FAU is already slated to play. Likely playing FAMU. That'll be at 1 o'clock. We'll have both those for you.
I'm a little shocked. We hadn't. I keep seeing the score show up. FSU and Mercer tied 4-4 in the 9th. I can't believe they hadn't gotten it to this crowd. You know there's an interest.
Oh, sure.
I mean, looking ahead to next weekend. And I'll tell you, it's
high fly ball, deep left center field, and gone. #15th bomb of the year for J.J. Schwartz, and I mean that was a bomb. Not bad for a freshman.
Yeah, it's about the only thing we hadn't seen from Florida tonight is some power. And you got to see it right there. Just a really good swing from the freshman. And I'll tell you one of the things I like about him, again, he works down, but the two-handed finish, Mike, the two-handed finish for J.J. Schwartz, it works for him. It's not for everybody, but the two-handed finish keeps him on the baseball, and he's got big boy pop.
I hope we got collision on the rental car, because that one might have put a dent in it.
That was right at it. And I meant to say, you know, when you park, you started to park a little bit more in left center. I said, no one hitting the ball there. Well,
right.
They just did. J.J. Schwartz just did.
Might have broken a taillight with that one. That's a smash and a fair ball down the right field line up the bat of Vasquez. He'll have two easily, and he'll pull up there. Third hit of the night for Jeremy Vasquez, the freshman.
Yeah, I saw this guy come off the deck in a big game this year. In a game that tied with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position, and he didn't look like a freshman. He had a plan. He had a plan. He had an approach. And since that point, all he's done was hit. And all of a sudden, he finds himself in the starting lineup.
And a pinch runner. Coach O'Sullivan might start emptying the bench a little bit here.
Yeah, it's amazing to me how many good teams there are in the state of Florida. And probably you got Miami hosting, you got Florida State hosting, obviously Florida hosting with 3 other teams, but North Florida is a team, if you ever seen them play, they've got one of the best outfielders in the country in Deweese, and one of the better two-way players in Olmsted. and I was shocked that they didn't get in.
Fly ball to right. Jackson puts it away. Tagging is Larson, who just came in to pinch run, and he'll make it to third. Gator offense has been relentless tonight. 10 runs on 10 hits, throwing a couple of steals. And you get the feeling they're not done. I get this question every year, so let me just get it out of the way right now. There is not a 10-run rule in regional play.
No, but I would vote for one.
Would you?
Oh, yeah. I think so. There's a constant gripe about the length of games. And I think it's a benefit to the other team. You got to play tomorrow.
Right.
I mean, you know, you're going to keep running guys out there and using pitching up, or you're going to have to leave someone in the drive.
Yeah.
So I'm a fan for it. I really believe you get some matchups, things don't go your way.
This one rocketed to center. Should score a run. Larson tagging. And he will score. (11-0) Florida. I'm with you on the 10-run rule. I think after 7 innings.
It doesn't mean you're a bad team.
No, it's
it
just
doesn't.
a bad night.
It's a bad night. And you just get out. Everybody gets out of the park. It's early, and none of those runs that Florida scores carry over for tomorrow, and none of the mistakes that Florida A&M carry over tomorrow. It's a new day, but I just think it's for safety purposes, for not having to leave pitchers out to dry.
Back to the top of the order in Harrison Bader. A sizzler to second. Weeks up with it, and over to first for out number 3. Remember this name, folks. He's only a freshman. J.J. Schwartz.
Two-handed finish. I love it. Right there. Worked down, drove it. Outstanding.
Don't miss a minute of the action from the NCAA Baseball Regionals. Follow every game on ESPN2, ESPNU, ESPN3, or watch ESPN. We'll also take you to the best live action on the Bases Loaded channel on ESPN3 or the Watch ESPN app. Every game, every big moment on the road to Omaha, only on the ESPN networks. Mike Morgan, Dave Perno with you tonight from Gainesville. It's cooled down, but the Gator Bats certainly have not. 11 runs on 10 hits. They lead it 11-0 as we get to the top of the 7th. Tobias now at second. Larson now the new right fielder for the Gators. So some defensive changes, probably not the last of them. Gators appear to be on a collision course to take on the South Florida Bulls tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. USF from the American Conference. They defeated FAU earlier today. Kennedy skies one to right, and a catch is made by Larson. Pretty good.
That first one's going to find you. He just gets in the game and always does. I wouldn't be surprised if Hicks doesn't get one at third base too.
Pretty good day to be a Florida Gator. Your baseball team is on track to stay in the winner's bracket. Softball team coming off a win last night. And guess who? Lauren Hager did it again. She's now the first ever softball player a part of the 70-70 club. 70 home runs and 70 wins. That is just phenomenal beyond belief. I don't even know how to put that stat in perspective.
You can't.
That's like Babe Ruth type numbers.
Yeah, it's a league of her own. I mean, Good night. And I tell you, going to the studio the last few weeks, I've enjoyed understanding, learning more about it, and seeing the strategy and the way teams play and the philosophy, and that Florida, well, the whole SEC is just really, I didn't think it was as dominant or could be as talented as the baseball side of things, but it is even more.
And it's relatively new to a lot of programs in the league.
Yeah.
You know, we weren't talking about softball 20, 30 years ago for a lot of programs in this conference. Didn't take long for some of those to get built up into national powers. I remember back in the late 90s calling some softball games. You'd be lucky if one of the teams got to 3 runs. It was a bunch of slapping and slap hitting, that is.
Dominated by pitching.
Dominated by pitching, and nobody hit home runs. Now you're seeing home runs all over the place.
And, you know, I still can't quite understand that pitching side of it, though. You know, that part of it's so much different than baseball, from the sense you need 1 or 2 people.
Right.
And that's, you know, that's the part of it that you know, takes a lot of the strategy out.
Yeah.
In my opinion, when they're throwing 190 pitches, you know, it's tough to fathom that aspect of it when you grow up in a baseball background.
0-2, got him. That was quick work for Frank Rubio. Like a hot knife through butter as we stand and stretch. Gators 11, Rattlers nothing. Gators leading it 11-0 as we get ready for the bottom of the 7th inning. It's been pure domination by the number 4 national seed, the Florida Gators, as Kendall Weeks will now get a turn to pitch on the diamond for the Rattlers. His 11th game of the season, an ERA hovering over 5. And at this point, FAMU just wants to get this bad boy over with, get ready for a game tomorrow against FAU at 1 o'clock in what would be the elimination game. Taylor Strauss, the new second baseman now for the Rattlers. Weeks, who started this game at second, a junior from Quincy, Florida, now gets to toss it to a very lethal and hot lineup for the University of Florida. It'll be 2-3-4 due up. Buddy Reed, Richie Martin, Josh Tobias, all of whom have joined in on the fun tonight. Double check this, but yep, everybody in the starting lineup for the Gators has reached. And congratulations. We were talking about Lauren Hager earlier.
How do you do that?
She picks up win number 71 to go along with 70 home runs, and Florida is 2-0 in the College World Series with victories over Auburn and LSU.
That is just awesome. 71 wins, 70 home runs.
That whole side of the bracket is all SEC teams. Will pop up off the batter Reed, and that'll be the first out of the inning. Yeah, the only thing I could even like compare it to would be Babe Ruth back in the days when he pitched and hit home runs. He would lead the American League in victories and lead the majors in home runs. And that's the only analogy I can come up with. Richie Martin. First pitch right on the back. And I like the way Martin took it. He immediately put the bat on the ground and just walked to first. Didn't stare anybody down, didn't give any reaction.
Yeah, FAMU's gonna have to figure out how they're gonna piece some pitching together tomorrow. Like it's a good FAU lineup.
Here's Tobias. Cuts and misses. This goes to your point. If you're FAMU, you have a better chance of winning tomorrow if this game ends on a 10-run rule. Yeah.
Ended 10 minutes ago. you shouldn't have to pitch to the Gators down 11-0.
This is not helping the Rattlers' cause. Meanwhile, FAU is just sitting back in the hotel, feet up, relaxing, getting a good night's sleep, getting ready for tomorrow's game. We've talked a lot about the great job that the coaches in this game have done with their programs. Want to go back and mention again, Mark Kingston of USF and John McCormick of FAU have both done outstanding jobs with their respective programs as well. We've really got 4 dynamite coaches in this regional.
Yeah, the hot thing to do is to kind of follow Lalo Prado. He gets the program close and leaves the cupboard full. And Dan McDonald experienced at Louisville, and it's really feeding off it. And
Tobias cranks one all the way to the wall. Martin will hold up at third, and Tobias will pull in with a 1-out double.
Good swing right there. Tobias, you know, just hadn't had a great night tonight. Couple strikeouts, and you know that's what those guys do. The players, they hit when you need them. They don't hit when you're winning 11-0.
Right.
But I think, you know, his 5th at bat, he needed to get some productivity out of this evening, so he just ropes a double in the right field corner.
11 runs and 11 hits now for the Gators. This is John Sternagel. My scorebook is starting to look like I'm calling a spring training game right now with all of the substitutions.
Yeah, I think we're spot on about the 10-run rule.
I don't think many coaches would be against it.
You know, we were in a regional in '09, and I think we beat someone, Ohio State for that matter. I think we beat them 21-3, and it took like 8 hours to play because lightning delays and all this. And then in the regional championship that year, I think Florida State won 36 to something.
Sternagel joins in on the fun, drives in a run with a single to left. It's 12-0.
Good swing here. They got him. They got depth everywhere. Just got to find at bats for him.
And now J.J. Schwartz, who hit a tape measure home run his last time up to left center field. Cleared the fence, cleared the bleachers, cleared a couple of trees, and probably dented a car in the parking lot. It's just a matter of which one it hit. Into center, looping liner drops in front of Walker. Another run scores. 4 consecutive hits for the Gators in this inning.
He stays right on it. And boy, you know, you hit one a mile that bat before. That shows just, you know, maturity, not trying to do too much, and just comes and gets another knock. Stays on it right up the middle, doesn't try and do too much. You don't see that from a lot of freshmen.
Right.
I mean, you just hit one to the O-dome, and I mean, you're up 12. Don't you want to hit another one there?
Yeah. Maybe he's feeling a little mercy, or showing a little mercy. The game just seems to come so easily to J.J. Schwartz.
Yeah.
His father, Jeff, pitched in the bigs back in the 90s. Ryan Larson came in the game late. Smacks one to left. Another base hit.
You can't get this many hits in BP. I mean, this is pretty awesome here. I give you that. I mean, you sit there and you have Coach Weitzel or Sully throw him BP, put your defense out there. It's hard to get that many hits in a row.
Yes. Richie Martin got hit with one out. Tobias doubled, Sternagel singled, Schwartz singled, Larson singled. And a slow stroll to the mound by Jamie Shoup.
And he's got to use another arm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know, again, I think it's something that needs to be visited to bring it back.
13-0 Gators over the Rattlers. We're in the 7th. For more coverage of the Division I baseball tournament and interactive brackets, go to ncaa.com. With the coach, Dave Perno, I'm Mike Morgan. It has been all Florida in this one, 13-0. The Rattlers just keep rolling, one pitcher out there after another. This is Marcus Roberts, a lefty who's been a workhorse this year, 25 games under his belt, 1-0 record, a 1.06 earned run average. It's been a heavy workload for the FAMU bullpen. This is now the 6th pitcher of the night. And again, they've got the early game tomorrow at 1 o'clock if this score holds up.
Yeah, it's been real crisp, clean for Florida. Exactly what they needed to keep going after their big win last weekend.
Colasavari, the backup catcher, jumps on it, skies it to right, and the Gators will hold up the runners here. Some of the fans saying, come on, send them. A little bit ruthless here in Gainesville tonight. He's saying no way. USF defeating FAU earlier today, so the Bulls in the winners bracket. They will likely face this Gator squad tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Force at second, and the 7th comes to a close. 2 more runs on the board for Florida. 13-0 our score.
This telecast is copyrighted by the NCAA for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any picture, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NCAA's consent is prohibited.
We've reached the top of the 8th inning. It's the Gators on top, 13-0. Been a good day thus far for the Southeastern Conference. 7 teams in regionals. Florida in good shape here. LSU defeats Lehigh. Ole Miss right now in some trouble trailing Maryland. A&M up on Texas Southern. Charleston in a walk-off in the 11th defeats Auburn. Arkansas over Oral Roberts, and Vanderbilt leads Lipscomb. In that Arkansas game, by the way, and I know you like that Razorback squad, Dave, the player of the year in the SEC, Andrew Benintendi, 3 for 4, 2 more ribbies, 3 more runs scored. What a year that young man has had.
Yeah, it's been different. I mean, eye-popping stats, numbers. He's come up in the big games down the stretch. He's been pretty special for, this is a season to remember. And when you look at what he did last year,
1 home run.
it's hard to understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. And I just really impressed with how Coach Dave Van Horn has kept that club together, and not only kept them together when they got off that bad start, but they just kept improving.
Right. You had a few of those teams in your day, right? They got off to slow starts, and everybody kind of counts you out, and then all of a sudden you hit your stride.
No one sees you coming.
Barlow, the batter, the starting catcher for the Rattlers. He's actually reached twice, but without a hit. A walk and hit by pitch. The new pitcher, Sean Anderson, for the Gators. Anderson, a 6'4" righty, a sophomore from Coral Springs, Florida, out in Broward County, another hotbed for high school baseball talent. You had so much talent in your state when you coached at Georgia. How often did you and your staff invade the state of Florida?
Well, you had to take advantage of it because it was a border state, and it was so good. But to be honest, we tried to stay in Georgia. Probably 85–90% of our roster were Georgia kids.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way you do it. I still believe in that today. It is a situation where you have so many good teams and college teams in the state of Florida. You're sharing a lot. You're competing. And the tough thing that got Georgia was it's a heavily recruited state.
Sure.
North Carolina schools come down, South Carolina schools come down, Alabama schools come and get in there. So that makes it difficult. I mean, it does. But it's Florida and Georgia, really good states to get high school players. I would say the junior college baseball in Florida is much better than the junior college baseball in Georgia.
Yeah, it is a factory of great junior colleges in the state of Florida. And of course, when you're Kevin O'Sullivan and company, you don't really have to tap into that well too often. You get your pick of the litter of high school kids.
And that's what, and I believe in that. If you're really truly going to build a program and compete for national championships, I think you got to do it with the majority of the guys got to be high school recruits.
2-2 right on by the swinging bat of Barlow for the first out of the inning.
Just an elevated fastball, good arm, explodes right there. Young hitters, you think you can get there, you can't. Let it go.
You see what's at stake here. The Gators well on their way to that game tomorrow night in the winners bracket. Florida, USF, SEC versus the American, two of the top conferences in college baseball all season long.
Well, South Florida, if it does hold up, which all indications, they're going to probably get to see, which I would call probably the leading candidate to be the #1 pick in next year's draft in A.J. Puck.
Yeah.
If he continues to progress and throw the baseball like he's thrown it the last month.
A 6'7" lefty. If you haven't seen A.J. Puck, he is a treat to watch.
Yeah, he's easy to pick out.
Bouncer to short. The Gators have been flawless in the field once again tonight. There you see A.J. Puck, young man out of Iowa. It's the majority of this roster is Florida kids, but they've got some guys from all over. Shore's from Minnesota, Puck's from Iowa. They got a couple of New York kids. So Kevin O'Sullivan's getting some out-of-state guys too.
Yeah, well, when you have the type of success they're having, that happens. You attract some of those. They come to you. They want to go where the climate's good, the commitment's strong, and the success is happening. And, you know, we benefited from that in our years at Georgia. We had Bryce Massineri from Las Vegas, just because you have some contacts and the TV. It's a TV exposure.
Right.
I mean, it really is. These kids grow up, and for some reason, they put on TV and they catch you playing someone, and there's just a natural interest there.
Kids want to be on ESPN, and now they want to be on the SEC network, and you get the best of both worlds when you play in the Southeastern Conference. It wasn't that long ago. 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. The throw to first to complete it. And that's all she wrote for the Rattlers in the 8th. We go to the home half. Florida 13. Florida A&M nothing.
The NCAA Baseball Regionals is presented by the Capital One Venture Card. Earn unlimited double miles you can use on any airline, anytime.
It's been all Gators today, 13-0. Getting ready for a matchup tomorrow with the South Florida Bulls. That'll be at 7 o'clock here at McKeithen Stadium. The elimination game to precede it will be FAU against Florida A&M, barring a miracle here, as Florida has been in control. A run in the second, 5 spot in the third, 3 more in the fifth, 2 in the sixth, 2 in the seventh. That's how we've arrived at a 13-0 score. The Gator pitching staff has only allowed 2 hits in this game thus far. Pitcher number 6 for FAMU, that's Kenny McDonald. You see the numbers on the right-hander. Again, the winner of this regional will take on the winner of the Tallahassee regional, and Florida State, we're just told, won on a walk-off single to defeat Mercer.
And Charleston won against Auburn on a walk-off home run.
Right.
So it looks like you got 4 pretty even teams down there in Tallahassee.
We've got a lot of hit batters in this game, but most of them have been on off-speed stuff.
Yeah, it's just that sidearm. If you don't get that ball out front and you don't finish that pitch, and you're going to leave it in the right-handed batter's box, and if Florida's coached well, they're going to hold their ground and take a base.
It's 5 hit batters now in this game for Florida. Comebacker should be 2. Instead it'll be 0. That throw.
We've seen a couple of those tonight. Just opportunities for a double play, and they don't get an out. And, you know, unfortunately, again, it helps our case, Mike. Because, you know, and here's another part of strategy.
Yeah.
Is you got a quick turnaround.
Right.
I mean, and it's going to take, you got post-game conferences,
Yeah.
you got media issues, you got to get these guys fed, you're going to wind down, and all of a sudden you got to get right back up and get back at it. And that was the thing when we hosted at Georgia. I played the first game.
You wanted the extra time.
I learned the hard way in 2001. We played the night game, got caught in all kind of delays, did not finish till 1 o'clock in the morning, got beat, had to turn around and play the next morning.
That is hit batter number 6. That one, I'm not sure if it even pressed on the epidermis, but it's going to send Richie Martin to first base. Yeah, if I could do 2 things as commissioner of college baseball. Number 1, I'd eliminate the bluff throw.
Yes.
Thankfully, we haven't seen many of those tonight, but those just stall the game and at times can make it
You
unwatchable.
step off, you have to throw.
You step off, you got to throw.
You got to pick. I like that.
There's a little flare into right center. It'll play to run, station to station. Everybody moves up 90 feet, and it's 14-0. And of course, the other one, as we've talked about, a 10-run rule after 7 innings of work. You got a team like FAMU that just wants to go back, get ready for tomorrow. they're not getting anything out of this right now.
Yeah, this isn't helping anybody.
No.
I mean, it's making a team like FAMU, who had a remarkable year and Coach Shoup has turned things around, but you're tarnishing it, in my opinion, at this stage in the game.
I agree. Sternagel the batter.
You got to give Florida a lot of credit. It's tough to play a clean when you get in a game of this length,
right,
and this separation in the score, to play with the intensity and the crisp and clean baseball that they have played tonight. It's the mark of a true champion.
Well, they're just so workmanlike.
They are.
It is a lunch pail group.
Yeah, they kind of did it the hard way all year. You alluded to it early. They lost 7 out of 10 Friday night games, but end up winning the series.
Yeah. And then they lose the opener in the SEC tournament, and they've got to win 4 straight. That's exactly what they did to win that event. I don't think they want to make things as dramatic in this regional.
No. And I don't think they will. Not if they keep playing the type of defense they're playing and having the quality of bats that they're having, with the pitching that they have, the starting pitching, the bullpen, the depth. I just think they haven't seen South Florida, and I like South Florida. I like FAU's club. But having watched them today, I just think if Florida plays like they do tonight at home, they're going to be heavy favorites.
That is the 7th hit batter of the night. None of these are intentional, and they're really not even leaving much of a mark because they're slow pitches, off-speed pitches in many cases from side armors. But
yeah, I mean, Florida just keeps wearing them. I mean, they can get out of the way, but they're coached well.
Right.
And, you know, that's what you do. You hold your box and you take your base.
how many more arms do you have if you're Jamie Shoup? I mean, you still have to think about tomorrow. He's just out there to kind of, now he's going to throw out another arm. That'll be the 7th of the night. 15-0 Florida, 2 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion. Great tradition here at the University of Florida. Joe Arnold led the Gators to World Series appearances in '88, '91. Eddie Lopez, 1996, 1998. Pat McMahon in 2005, and then Kevin O'Sullivan 2010, 2011, and 2012. They were the national runner-up in 2011, lost to the South Carolina Gamecocks in an all-SEC final, and trying to make it back to Omaha, looking awfully good in the first regional game tonight. Ryan Kopensky, the new pitcher for FAMU. It's all hands on deck for the Rattlers, just trying to find enough guys to finish this game. There's still nobody out. Bases are loaded. It should have been a double play turned earlier, but a bad throw by the pitcher to second base really has opened up the floodgates. And now you got to throw against this guy, J.J. Schwartz. Laces one down the left field line, a fair ball. This will play to pair. Schwartz will coast into second. And it is now 17-0.
Is there a 20-run rule? I mean, I think we made our case. It would be, and here's the other reason. It would be the only game today that so far that would be run ruled.
Right.
And I mean, when you only have one game, I just think it's fair to both teams.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think anybody benefits from this point. Larson swing and a miss. By the way, I mean, Florida A&M actually defeated Florida last year in a regular season game 4-3.
Yeah, you know, you think about what a difference a year makes. Florida's play. Not only did they lose this game last year, but they're playing College of Charleston, was a 4 seed last year.
And that's
now, and Florida won the SEC and was a national seed last year.
Seed, yep.
Now you talk about some questionable seeding. I got to question that one.
a national seed, as you see the Larson RBI single. A national seed that went 2-Q on their home field. Now that's smarts. The year before that, they played at Indiana. They lost 2-0. So it's been a while since they've won an NCAA tournament game. This could be 2 again. Instead, they'll settle for 1. The defense has been real shaky tonight for the Rattlers. But I think if you have to play Florida, that's the scary part. Not only are they good, they got extra motivation after what happened last season.
There's no question. And I talked to Sully a lot about that regional, and that it was almost like, how in the world can you be a national seed and get paired against College of Charleston in game 1?
Right.
It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. And that's where, when I said that the seeds, there needs to be some more seeding going on in college baseball. I think you need to seed 1 through 16.
Yep.
And you need to seed the last 16. That way the teams that have the banner years, earn a 1 seed, should have the option of playing the worst 16 teams in the field.
Right.
So they do have the option to choose if they want to pitch off.
Well, we're solving a lot of issues here tonight in this broadcast.
Oh, we got it figured out, Mike. Let us get in there and get it situated next year. And well, I mean, again, you know, I just think that 2 and 3s, you're going to miss some. You're just going to miss some. It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter if you get a 2 that maybe's a 3 and a 3. They're playing in the first round.
Right.
And all I'm saying is if a team has a good year all year long, you don't need them to get ambushed game 1 by not knowing what they're catching. And I think that was Florida was set up.
Yeah, College of Charleston.
They're no 4 seed.
That was not a 4 seed last year. Monty Lee had a great team last season that nearly made it to Omaha. Lost 2 one-run games in the Texas Tech Super Regional. And of course, College of Charleston already defeating Auburn today.
Listen, we lost the national championship to Fresno State in 2008. They were a 4 seed. Well, they were a 4 seed, but before the season started, they were ranked in every poll, preseason poll out there.
Right.
We weren't. They had injuries. They had some issues going on early. They turned it around the second half. Maybe they should have been a 4. I don't know, because their record wasn't that good. But you're talking about a team that beat Long Beach, went to Arizona State, beat them, and their bracket, they beat LSU, they beat Rice. I mean, come on.
To first, and finally something goes the Rattlers' way. They catch a break, a double play to end it. Gators pouring it on, 19-0 the score. $19-0 our score. The only drama left in this game now is whether or not our SEC Now crew can go home and call it a night, or if we're going to get 3 outs just in time to send it back to studio and let them wrap things up. Otherwise, we've got Trophy Live, Heisman winners of the SEC, queued up and ready to go.
Well, they call it Kill the Phil over there in Charlotte. So I think we're going to make it. You know, that would be the tough thing about the 10-run rule is we would have been done 45 minutes ago.
Right.
They would have had a lot of field to do.
Oh, we would have had Peter and Ben McDonald working overtime, all those great nuggets that they've been compiling back in the studio. We're told there's a good chance that we are not going back to studio. Dave Perno's going to break down all 17 of Florida's hits tonight in the postgame. Somewhat lost in this, perhaps, is the fact that not only has the Florida pitching staff pitched a shutout, they've only allowed 2 hits.
And the other part of that, I mean, is just the defense. Not just again, not the routine plays, just great plays. We've seen 4 guys make diving plays and show just tremendous range. And I'm just really impressed with the athleticism and this Florida defense.
Again, the winner of this game, I'm going to stop saying that. Florida will play USF tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Florida A&M will play FAU tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Double elimination. The Bulls defeated the Owls earlier today 5-3. That was a highly competitive game. South Florida's Jimmy Herget started off kind of slow and then caught fire late. Some timely hitting by the Bulls. Kyle Teef with a monster game.
Yeah, we got to take a good look at Peterson. I liked him out of the bullpen.
Yeah, what's not to like?
It's good stuff. I mean, Anderson just him and Rubio have thrown the ball extremely well. And you just never know when you get into these tournaments and if any of these guys emerge. I know they haven't gotten a lot of time all year, but you know, next year, this is good experience for Rubio, good experience for Anderson, because as they work their way through this tournament, you know, less and less opportunities are going to present themselves for these guys. So they need this to get some momentum going into next year.
1-2 the count. Rattlers down to their final strike, and Gibbs strokes a single to left. The 3rd hit of the night, and the first one for Gibbs, their best hitter.
Well, we know he's the best athlete on the team, and he got his one knock tonight.
Called strike to Kennedy. Gators about to pick up their 45th win of the season. The battle continues. A 1-2 through the 5-hole, and that'll advance the runner. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. That'll be your ball game. The Gators in convincing fashion, 19-0 over the number 4 seed Florida A&M. They will do battle with USF, the number 3 seed, tomorrow. That'll be at 7 o'clock Eastern time. The elimination game preceding it will be FAU and Florida A&M. That'll be at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Dave Perno, some final thoughts.
Florida's making me look smart. They got a good team. They're playing well at the right time. They're deep, and they can defend, and they showed some offensive prowess tonight. They're explosive. I like where they are.
Should be a lot of fun to watch them go up against USF tomorrow. That's going to do it for us here tonight. For Dave Perno and our entire SEC Network crew, this is Mike Morgan saying so long from Gainesville. Gators win it by a final score of 19-0. Coming up next, Trophy Live, Heisman winners of the SEC. So long, everybody.